Hi everyone, how's it going? So before I upload this video, I just want to quickly say I had this video planned for a few days, so some of the stuff doesn't quite line up in this intro segment, talking about what my recent videos were, so I kind of apologise for that. I've been very busy, so I know a lot of the stuff here doesn't make sense at the start, so when the intro does start, the proper intro in a minute, if it doesn't quite line up, I apologise. I just want to shout out Scottish Scrub and Exquiante for being in this video. Absolute homies, and I appreciate all the work. Anyway, I'll see you all in the video. Hi everyone and welcome to the video. So, first of all, sorry for all the negative content recently. I know you guys come to me for a more positive angle on Saints Row, and I apologise for putting it all out there. I felt like I wanted to really talk about my concerns and also the community concerns in a couple of videos. So, with the Saints Rows getting boring, that was more my concerns with the game. And then, as for my last video, which was about 20 minutes long, I kind of spoke about the missteps I feel the community has felt has taken place. Not so myself, because obviously I'm more positive at the reboot. But all that aside, today's video is a bit more positive and a bit more happy, and it's talking about really cool future games I would absolutely love to see happen for Saints Row. Now, I've got about 3 ideas here that I think would be really good for Saints Row, and kind of ideas I'd just love to see happen. And one of them I don't think people will be too happy with me saying, but the other 2 I think people will be rather approving of, so we'll start off with those. So, I would love to see a prequel to Saints Row 1. I'd love to see that relationship between Ben King and Julius and how that all formed and played out. I think that's a really cool piece of Saints Row history that we never got more context onto, and it's something that can definitely build upon the original games. For me, it's just something I would personally like to see happen, and as someone who is a fan of those older games and the newer games, I think it added more weight to Saints Row 4's Ben King, as well as adding more context to the earlier game. And I don't know, I think it'd be really cool seeing the reunion afterwards in Saints Row 1 when Ben King comes to the Saints, opposed to, you know, just how it is right now, which is kind of like we only saw him for a while, we attacked him, then he came to us. I'd like to see that relationship between Julius and Ben King actually take place, so that decision where Ben King finally comes back to Julius adds so much more weight to the situation. I think it just makes Saints Row 1 such a more cool and cohesive game, and whilst I don't think it's necessarily necessary, I think it'd just be a cool addition to the Saints Row series. Following that, I think it would be my personal favourite choice of game, and this is the one I think a lot of people will be quite happy about. I would like to see the ending to Dex. Now, I know the Dex saga is so far past its due date, but I still think that an ending is necessary. I think we deserve an ending. And what I think I would like to kind of play out as is, in between the story of Saints Row 2 and 3, we hunt down Dex, and something happens. I don't know how they want to end it, whether he gets one over us and we can't chase him and kill him, or we kill him and we can't talk about it for whatever reason, but kind of have it leave off on a note where the boss kind of can't discuss what happened with Dex. It's a secret he's got to take to his grave for whatever reason. I'm sure you can incorporate Griffin into that somehow. It'd be a cool way to kind of play it out if it was done right. And it would also kind of explain why we don't hear much from Dex in Saints Row 3, but in Saints Row 4 he's referenced in the boss's hell, because obviously Dex is, you know, something the boss really hated, so in his hell it would kind of make sense, especially with the context of this game. And I think it would kind of all play out really well. I'm not sure how they would end it with us not being able to talk about Dex, but I think it'd be really cool to see maybe the boss go on a solo mission to hunt down Dex, none of the other Saints included, and it kind of just plays out where maybe Dex gets killed, but Griffin or something has one over us and we can't talk about it. For whatever reason, I think it would just be really cool to see happen, and I think it'd be nice to have some clarity on the Dex situation. And finally here, this is the one that I think people won't be too happy about, but I want you to hear me out. I'd like to see a Saints Row 5. I know, not a reboot 2, like a continuation of Saints Row 4. We did have the time travel ending, and I would still like to kind of see it play out. I'd like to see a modern reimagined version of Stillwater with the OG Saints going around doing their usual shenanigans again, and it's something that me as a fan, I'd just love to see kind of come back. I mean, I'm obviously on board for the Saints Row 2 remaster, but if I had my dream way, and it'd kind of be a new game set in Stillwater, kind of see that Saints Row 2 evolution again of Stillwater, where it gets bigger and cooler. And for me, I'd just love to see the Saints reimagined back in that great map. That's just me though, you don't have to agree, but for me, a Saints Row 5 kind of set in Stillwater would be really cool. Maybe even traveling between Stillwater and Steelport would be cool. It'd be something I'd definitely be a fan of. But hey, I guess we can only see what the future holds. Out of these games, which ones do you think you'd prefer? Rank them in order, because for me, I think it would go the Saints Row 2.5. I'd like to see what happened with Dex. That's always been something that's a bit of a pet peeve to me. Then I'd probably like to see the history between Ben King and Julius, because that was just always a really cool part of Saints Row that never got expanded upon. And then finally, I'd probably just end it off with the Saints Row 5 ending, which by no means do I want to not happen, because quite frankly, that'd be so fun to just see the old Saints kicking it again, seeing them reimagined. I mean, hell, they don't even have to go full serious. It'd be kind of cool. I know this is a wild one, but kind of cool to get a more goofier game set in Stillwater, to see it kind of reimagined with a newer style of Saints Row old cast, if that makes sense in any form. Obviously, I'm not saying I want the game to be completely goofy, but hey, I don't know, I'd like to see a kind of spin-off game where we go back to Stillwater. The Saints return to Stillwater, come on, that'd be cool.
The Saints Row game takes place between 3 and 4, being the President of the United States. Here we aren't fighting gangs in one city, we're fighting armies across the world. With the power of the United Saints of America, and yes, I said Saints, we have to fight and protect our country from others that are trying to take what the Saints have. Basically a world war with a lot of purple. There's 3 main armies that are across the world from America. The armies are Russia, China, and a third country that I haven't thought of yet. And we can travel to areas in which the armies are located, which gives us 4 pretty decent sized maps. We already have our map, which is Washington, D.C. We traveled to the other maps of where the armies are to take over their region by completing their story missions and activities. Very similar to Saints Row's 3 gang style of story. As we take over other areas, they turn purple and are claimed by the Saints. We have features that are similar to the criminal ventures that were in the reboot. We can place down bases for our military. The more we take over other areas, the more power the Saints army will have, with purple tanks, guns, armor, and so much more. The story is similar to Saints Row 2. We tend to get personal with our rival gang leaders, willing to take serious action to take down their military. And the leaders of our rival countries are just as badass as the president. This game also has tons of customization. I mean, it's a Saints Row game, right? So if you're not feeling the army style of the Saints, then you can take over Russia and China as furries, or just an OG gang style.
I mean, personally, you had me at furries, but continue.
A few notes that I like to make is that I would prefer to have specific names of the armies for Russia and China and the third country, but I just haven't thought of them yet. I understand that this game is completely unrealistic and will most likely never happen, especially with 4 maps to build. This is just a cool idea that I thought of. Thanks, and peace out.
A Saints Row game that I would like to see. Saints Row 3.5. Now hear me out. This would take place after the Kill Kill Bane ending. In this ending, the Saints have lost their celebrity status after that ending, but it isn't long before the word gets out to the boss that Sean Day survived the explosion and is being held captive at insert new city name here. The boss takes Pierce, Oleg, Kinsey, Zemos and Angel to the new city to get Sean Day back, only to discover that the place is in total chaos. The Saints see a familiar altar logo on a building and decide to investigate. This is run by none other than Dex. He lured the boss here, begging for their help. Sean Day is not alive. The boss, unwilling to work with Dex, prepares to kill them, until Kinsey stops them, advising to hear Dex out. Dex promises to help give out info on all the 3 new gangs, in order to clean out the city, but when the boss says he doesn't have time for Dex or his bullshit, Dex tells the boss that Gat is alive, and he knows where to find him. The boss doesn't want to believe Dex, but you can't shake the feeling that he's telling the truth, so he actually agrees to help. But if Dex is lying again, just like he did with Sean Day, Dex will regret it. The boss then starts to clear out the city of the other 2 gangs, only to find out that Gang 3 is actually being run by Dex himself. While clearing out the other 2 gangs, Dex's gang has started taking over Stillwater and Steelport, killing both Laura and Tobias and taking Troy hostage. The boss has to fight through all 3 cities to take out Dex's gang, saving Troy and confronting Dex, revealing that it was all a plot to get back at the boss for all the people he got killed along the way. Lynn, Julius, Aisha, and even Angel, who gets killed mid-game. The boss finds out that Gat is indeed alive and that Dex has deals with the Syndicate and was given Gat's body. However, Dex tells the boss to let him go and Gat lives, or kill him, but Gat will die from Dex's henchmen. The choice will then be up to the player, and the ending will play out depending on which choice you go for. The outcomes will be hinted at to the player, but not entirely obvious. Regardless, the boss questions if Julius is right all along. If Gat is dead, the boss decides it's time that the Saints disbanded. They've fought so much, but ultimately it wasn't worth the sacrifices. If Gat is alive, He convinces the boss otherwise, and they vow to take back what's theirs, at the cost of letting Dex get away once more. Post-credit scenes will see how the Saints are after being disbanded. Or will show Dex in a state of despair, lonely, beating, and living on the streets with absolutely nothing, while the Saints work on rebuilding Stillwater and Steelport, with a new memorial at the church for all of the characters lost along the way. The game's new city will be a mix of a rundown, post-apocalyptic looking ruins on the outskirts of the city, with places such as a rundown amusement park, old burned down buildings, and a lot of homeless and drug users galore. There will be a dark industrial area surrounding the lower areas of the map, and a bright Vegas-type area in the middle of the city, similar to the district in the reboot. A light in all the darkness, if you will. The side activities will be mostly over the top, crazy stuff to sort of contract the more serious, dark tone of the story, hopefully pleasing both sides of the fandom.
Well, everyone, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you enjoyed some of the concept that me and the guys brought on here. I think we had some pretty good ideas, and I know that some of you guys would at least like to see one of these games come out, if not more. So comment down below which one your favorite game idea would be. For me, it would either be the Julius one or maybe the Dex one, but obviously the other guys have their own ideas, so it'd be really cool to see the games come to fruition. And I briefly want to just say a big thank you to Scottish Scrub and Exquiante or Kinote. I'm sorry, I butcher your name every time, but thanks for coming onto the video. I appreciate you all, and I will see you all in the next video, guys. Goodbye.